Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Bobby, and today I would like to bring up a topic that I don't think is discussed enough, and certainly it's not brought up to our youth. I'm talking about the kids who are starting the game with as much emphasis as it should be, and that is the level of integrity and respect that can be observed in a person by the manner with which they conduct themselves in playing golf. And I've known guys who say, well, you know, I own a business and I simply would not hire anyone of consequence until I first have the opportunity to play 18 holes with them. And the idea being they can learn more in 18 holes than by poring over resumes or doing a sit-down interview. And so I want to talk a little bit about that, and I'll agree right from the outset that something can be learned about a person in 18 holes of golf. But the bigger lesson has to do with integrity. And oftentimes, one round of golf won't do enough to expose that. And I'd like to go over that. And to do so, I'm going to tell you two quick stories, to illustrate how this can go one of two ways. And let me start by setting the scene here. Back years ago, I was working at a golf course in Louisville, Kentucky. And I only worked there for one summer, but the club championship was going on. And it was not the championship flight, it was the one right below them. They call it the first flight. And it was the final match, the 18th hole. They're both tied. And this one fellow by the name of Clyde, that was his real name, playing a guy, I'll call him Roger. That's not his real name because this poor guy's had a hard enough time. I don't wish to out him on the internet. He's gone through enough, and so has his family, I'm sure. They were playing 18. Now, the last hole was about 350 yards. They both hit a good tee shot. They both only have about 70 or 80 yards left into the hole. Well, Clyde gets up there and hits a shot to about 12 feet, just above the hole. Roger shanks his ball, and he goes over into the marsh. Now, that marshy area was so bad that anybody who hit into it, it was just a given that you weren't going to find it, that it was dead. And so much so that Clyde didn't even go over there to try to help him look. He didn't want to look at him. He didn't want to talk to him. He knew that was a big problem, so he didn't want to do anything to stir the pot. So he just walked up to the green and marked his ball. Oh, well, he's standing there for just a second. All of a sudden, he hears whack. The ball comes flying out, and he knocks it 20 feet past the hole. Well, in Clyde's mind, that putt is for bogey. He had to take a drop. There's no way. Well, Roger gets up there, marks the ball, puts it back down, rolls it down there, and makes it. When he does, Clyde says, good bogey. And that's when Roger said, no, that was for a par. Now, Clyde is going, what are you talking about? That couldn't have been for a par. He said, yeah, I found my ball. Well, he saw where he hit that ball from. When that ball was shanked, that ball was still flying higher as it went over that point. There was no way. Clyde was absolutely livid and so frazzled that now he's just got a few feet to the hole. He leaves his putt 5 feet short. He's so upset about this. Now, somehow he pulled himself together and made that 5-footer for par. And Roger said he had a par, but he knows he cheated when they got in. The pro said, how'd it go? He says, well, we've got to go to extra holes because we both parred there. But that man, he said it right in front of Roger, cheated. There's absolutely no way he found that golf ball. He cheated. There's no, and of course the pro said, did you cheat, Rod? Did you find that ball? Yes, I found that ball. And then he looked back at Clyde and said, did you go supervise the search? He said, no, I didn't have to. I saw where he hit the ball. And he said, well, this is a game of honesty and integrity. I have to just believe him. If you didn't go over there and supervise the search or help him, then we have to go with what he says. I'm sorry. Clyde can't believe this just happened because he's just so full of regret. He should have just gone over there and followed him. And instead he said, okay, I'm going to run to the restroom before we go to number one for this playoff. So he goes to the men's grill on the way to the bathroom, and someone says, there's 50 guys in there who just, finished their match. How'd the match go? He said, we have a playoff hole, and that's because Roger cheated. He told him he hit it in the marsh, and he cheated. He says he found the ball, and he said, did you tell the pro? He said, yeah, and the pro says that if I can't go find that ball and prove that he cheated, then I'm just out of luck. Well, those guys stood up like the cavalry. Hey, guys, Roger cheated Clyde. Let's go find that golf ball and prove that he cheated. Find it in the marsh. Some of you might say, well, gosh, this is kind of severe. I mean, my goodness, poor Roger. Did he not have any friends? Well, what you don't know, that these 50 guys know, that for 21 years that Roger's been a member there, they've watched him as he's hit balls into absolutely no man's land and always comes out smelling like a rose. When you hit a ball into the rough, into the tree, say, and it's particularly if there's any low-lying area, a creek or whatnot, there's about a 25% chance you're not going to find your ball. And there's another 25% chance that if you do find it, you'll wish you hadn't. And there's only about a 50% chance you're going to have some ability to knock it out sideways and actually get it back into play. But yet Roger, for 21 years, every single time he went in there, if someone didn't follow him into the woods, then he always came out looking pretty. Oftentimes he had shots at the green. The odds just don't work that way. And someone knows who you are when that's always the circumstance. They had seen for 21 years, anytime Roger found himself in some scrubby little lie, he would say to someone, hey man, I'm just going to move this. This should have been marked ground under repair. And if no one says anything, no one protests, he'll just move it. And on the occasions when someone does protest and say, hey, you can't move that, they still know that had no one been there, he would have done it anyway, because that's just who Roger was. They knew for 21 years that the number of times that he'd walked up to a 3-footer on one leg and built in an excuse why he missed it. Oh, I thought that was good. I did it on one leg. If I'd have known you weren't going to give that to me, then I would have planted my feet and made it. You know, people see that. People know who you are based on that sort of thing. And it's not something that happens on day one. It's a building process. All right? People have seen dozens of times when someone will say, hey, Roger, what'd you get on that? Give me a par. Par, didn't you stub that chip? Oh, yeah, give me a 5. Didn't you also 3-putt? Yeah, that's right, 6. Well, he was going to take a par. People notice this about you, and it's cumulative. And so it took the cavalry, those 50 guys, about 2 minutes to find that golf ball. And when they did, they're waiting and stuff that's up to here. Found it. They go to the pro and they say, listen, this is his ball, this is his marking. Go compare it to the other balls he's playing with right now. You will find out that he cheated. The pro took the ball over there, looked at the balls that he's playing with and said, you, sir, are disqualified. Clyde, you won on the 18th green. Now, think about that for just a moment. Imagine, based on what I just told you, how would you like Roger to be your auto mechanic? The one giving you an estimate on what it's going to cost you to fix your car. How would you like that guy doing that? How much would you trust him to be the guy who did that? Or how about the guy who comes to inspect your air conditioning unit every single year? Yeah, I'm afraid you've got a solenoid that's broken and that put a crack in the distributor module. You're going to have to buy a whole new air conditioning unit, right? The guy who's making decisions for you that you just trust because you don't know anything about it. How would you like him to be your son-in-law? A lot is revealed about a person with respect to how they play golf, but most of it is observed over a period of time. Now, it's not all nefarious. Good character and someone who's guided by their better angels can also be revealed. I've got a buddy, his name is Andy. He comes to visit me every year, and he has for 25 years. Wherever I've lived, the Carolinas, Seattle, California, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, he comes to visit me. And he comes every April and every November. It's his unfailing trip that he comes twice a year. Even during times when I'm not playing golf, I take the 6 months off. People who know I'm taking 6 months off, that means I'm still playing with Andy. When Andy comes, we'll play all day for 3 days. And on this last trip, not in April, but the one before that, last November, he came and we were playing, and I introduced him to a couple of guys, and we're playing a match. And on the 6, we were 6, 6, and 6. I'm his partner for 6 holes, I'm his partner for 6 holes, and I'm his partner. We got on 16. And a lot of holes were riding on this. And 16 in Apple Rock is a par 4 where you've got to keep it on the cart path. The cart must stay on the cart path. So if you hit it right over near that creek, you hit what we call a walker. You got a long walk on your hands. And Andy did that. His ball was over there, and the rest of us were either in the middle of the fairway or left. Well, as Andy's over there searching for his ball, it was either going to be in the creek or not in a very good spot. My partner for this 6 holes said to me, hey man, maybe we should go keep an eye on him. He might magically find that ball. And I looked at the guy and I said, well, you mean you think Andy might cheat us? He said, well, I'm just saying there's a lot of holes riding on this. You know, it'd be a shame if he suddenly found his ball when it was really in the creek. And right then Andy goes, I got it. And the guy looked at me like this, giving me the see what I mean look. And then Andy hits a shot from there, about 175 yards. I have no idea what club he hit, probably a 6 or 7 iron. And knocked it to what looked like in the hole from where we were. It looked like a perfect shot. We got up there, it turned out it was 15 feet away, but as he hit it and as it landed, again, my partner looked at me and went like this, like we should have gone over there and watched him. In other words, he thinks Andy cheated. But what he hasn't seen for the last 25 years is the number of times when Andy's walked on a green, picked up his ball, and said, guys, I can't believe this. This isn't my ball. I hit it out of the rough. It's a Titleist 2 with 2 dots. Mine has 3. I got to go back. If I don't find my ball in 3 minutes, I'll go back to the tee. And end up making a 10 because he called a penalty on himself. Or the number of times when Andy's got up there and to make a 3-footer, not plant, miss it, and someone will say, oh, Andy, that was good. He'll say, no, it wasn't good. You can stop counting when it goes in the bottom of the hole. It serves me right. Give me a bogey. I deserve that. I should have given it more time. Or the number of times when Andy's been on a root next to a tree, and someone will say, Andy, you don't have to hit that ball. You know, you don't want to break your club. He said, well, if I move it, I have to take an unplayable lie. It's part of, the root's part of the tree. Tree you don't get free relief from. I'm going to play by the rules, guys. Andy has proven time and time again in 25 years that he would rather pay all his money on the 18th green through gritted teeth than to lose one wink of sleep for having been known as a cheater. He simply wouldn't do it. Now, you might say, okay, well, so your friend is honest, but what about this other guy calling him a cheater? Doesn't that bother you? No. No, I don't worry about frivolous, unfounded accusations because they're more of an indictment on the accuser than the accused. Basically, that guy's telling me what he would do if he was over there. Again, another time when golf reveals something of your character. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that the shoe can rub both ways. That no matter what, people are going to find out who you are. And that should be something to celebrate. That should be something of an opportunity for all of us to reveal who we are and take the high road. It's something to celebrate. That integrity can be observed, and it does so over a period of time. And I hope that's thought-provoking for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in. I'll look forward to seeing you next week.